Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of MTG Arena. So we're just trying to move up rank to get victories and move up the level to just get mastery all the way done. It's going to be weird if I get the mastery since I'm at level 81 right now, and certainly I've seen some people like all the way done already, but you can also buy your way to it. So how would you do that? Wouldn't the thing, if you clicked on these, you could just purchase the rest of it up to a certain level? So why is that not working now? Interesting. Maybe I've hit a certain level where I just cannot purchase up any higher. Maybe so I actually have to play this far. That kind of sucks because I was hoping to have that as a backup option in case they did announce that the Eldraine Mastery was going to end. Could be that the whole system is just messed up right now. Yeah. Here we go. So, if they said in the next day or two that the Eldraine Mastery is going around, 2,250 gold to get up to that point, and that would get you everything I think of note. Well, no, this is how far it would go. 4,750, which is more than I could afford. Certainly, I only have 2,700 gems, and so this is where you would need to save up your gems in case. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Almost certainly, like you'd think that. First of all, they have to announce what the next expansion is. They wouldn't just be promoting these secret layer cards as their next big thing. They do seem like Magic comes out with something new every couple of weeks. But, you know, and maybe I would even get this dragon. If I've got nothing better to do with my gems, I probably should wait, though. Yeah, let's get into a game, though. We're still just trying to go up in the ranked. We might play for about a week here, just playing ranked, and if it does finally reach a point where it's like I'm just going up and down at gold tier 4, then that may just be as far as I can get until I have something better, some better cards, and I'm okay with that. Here we have Metroid_Prime as the name of this character. Yeah, I'd be okay with just every month making it to gold tier 4. It is also, I think, a nice case of having the tiers labeled as gold, silver, and stuff like that, instead of going for I should have played that first turn. Instead of going for what Hearthstone did, where you were just at rank 50 or rank 25. Like, it never really felt as good making it to rank 20 as it does to within a couple months of just starting to play Magic Arena and ending months on gold. And yeah, I know there's a platinum tier, and I imagine that it's a lot more difficult to get up the ranks in platinum tier, but this is not bad. Moving on, let's start covering the news, because I don't know if I really want to make 3 recordings today, but I probably should. Game Switch has an article. Here are your juries for the International Game Festival's 2020 Narrative Student and Visual Art Awards, which is going to be Sam Barlow, which created Silent Hill Memories. I thought he also made that game Telling Lies and Her Story, yeah. And Telling Lies didn't particularly succeed super well. And then Darshana. Yeah, we need to play this. And then play this. Darshana Jaimane is a lecturer at the Art, Media and Games in Abertay University, UK. And then Kate Gray is a narrative director at KO_OP, an indie studio based in Montreal. They made the game GNOG Gnog, which was a puzzle game. Jacques Dequidet, QUIDT, is a writer and composer for the actual play podcast Friends at the Table. Their works include the comedy heist Dr. Lengeskov's and stories of Failbetter's Fallen Lunder. The critical writing has appeared in The Guardian, Vice's Waypoint, and Rock Paper Shotgun. So that person clearly has no business to be on the thing. They have like no credits to their name of any real value. Alright. Draw. Play. And play. And no attacks this time. And we're good. I'm low on life here, but I'm pretty well suited. So next person they have is Andrew Plotkin. Let's see. He runs an IF non-profit foundation and plays with other narrative game ideas. So he has like no credits to his name either. This is a increasingly bad list of people. Go ahead and put this on the field and put this on the field. Alright, and so this will potentially do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage and 10, and then that would give me that, so I don't think I need to play anymore. I've won. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1 here, 1 here, 1 there, 1 there, and yeah. Apparently I missed. Oops. I missed a click there. Fine. So that was just me accidentally showing off on that one. See, next person they have is a Lena Van Deventure. A lot of these names sound like they are French Canadian names. Has taught in past tense interactive storytelling at RMIT University for the last 5 years, and taught semesters at Swinburne University, Melbourne University, Victorian College of the Arts. Published a bunch of books. Like, there's a long list here of actual I'm published, I have something, and then you have other people here that barely have anything to their name at all. They're giving like no description. Then you have Glada Zavariz, freelance, leads a double life as a freelance narrative designer and games journalist. Works for Eurogamer, PC Gamer, Rock Paper Shotgun. And this is a Gamma Sutra article. So almost certainly if you work for Your Gamer, PC Gamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, which are all I think owned by the same parent company, you probably should be just immediately rejected from selection on those grounds alone, because those are some of the worst places short of the Gawker Media companies like Kotaku. But then I guess the bar is so low as far as being a video game journalist that there's nobody really raising it, and there's probably are some good writers in all those companies that they're just getting their work ruined and hatcheted up by their editors. Then they have Best Student Awards, and that's Liam Edwards, and who's the director in Kotaku and game designer at Q Games in Kyoto, Japan. First person that sounds like they're not French Canadian. Richard Perrin, although Liam Edwards doesn't sound like a Japanese name by any means. Richard Perrin is an indie developer. Let's see. Creator of The White Chamber, Cairo, Journey, and Cosplay Maker. The Cosplay Maker sounds like an asset flip game. Jose Yagal, I assume with Jose being your first name, Zoggle is pronounced Yagal. Faculty at the University of Utah's top-ranked game development program. Let's see. A lot of these books that these people are writing, by the way, like only going to be read by other video game journalists. Only going to be read by your friends. That's most video game players not reading books about video games in large amounts. Now, I've read like Game Over, or a very old version of the story Game Over, how it's like called Game Over, how Nintendo conquered the video game world or something like that, but that's pretty much it. Like, I don't think we're gonna have any of that. Alright, so now the game has just decided to log me out and show my contact information. So let's go to a idle screen for a second while I have to type in the password and figure it out. So let's see, what can we do? Yeah, that won't work either. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the delay there. That's just kind of like a problem in general, you know? Like, we're still running into small bits of network issues and it not really handling it gracefully when you want to exit out. Asking specifically if I'm gonna asking me to log back in, asking not letting me just gracefully exit without it finding a network connection. I don't know how much of that is my network connection per se. Probably is in part my network connection, but it's a little less than you would think that you can even do there while you're still streaming, because I don't want to mess with the network connections there and mess with the stream. How valuable is murder? Murder is actually pretty not valuable. It in my current strategy as far as the deck goes, it isn't a major contributor. So yeah, there are some histories and documentaries kind of worth watching or reading as far as getting the old Atari NES, Sega Genesis stuff, particularly if you weren't very old or alive during those times. But when you start talking about books that are covering recent history, it's just kind of flagrant, stupid opinion pieces that don't really work their way into being valuable bits of information. And there's just far too many people who fancy themselves artists and they really just are not, or fancy themselves authors and they really aren't. Go ahead and just play everything we can, or let's hold back. You know what? Let's hold back a little bit and hold 2 cards and then no attacks. Let's see. See, we have Andy Neilian, associate professor at cinematic arts and computer science. Like, a lot of these schools I've just never heard of, and they don't have any kind of prestige at all. Not that really the schools like Harvard should have prestige, but they do regardless. So I mean, when there's just absolutely no name recognition on the school, I would prefer, frankly, to see somebody coming away from like the University of Phoenix Online. At least that's something I've heard of. Whereas the Cinematic Arts and Computer Science in Interactive Media and Games division of the USC School of Cinematic Arts, it's not super recognizable as a name. Like, I don't even really know if USC is the University of Southern California or if it's something else. Which that would be helpful to know, certainly, is this the University of Southern California or not? Let's see. Next we have Elaine Morris, producer of Mipumi Games in Vienna. Another unrecognizable person. A.P. Thompson, designer and programmer who worked on numerous games, including Fortnite, 499, Swap Sword, Multi-Bowl, and Beglitched. Kate Brewster, PhD student and researcher at the University of California. So we've noticed one person here on this list that just absolutely does not deserve to be on the list, and that's a PhD student. Which, sure, you might be 8 years into the 8 years to get a PhD, or 7.5 or 7 3/4 years into getting your PhD degree. But yeah, you're not a professional if you're just being a student and a researcher. And meanwhile, she's also written for The Guardian, Vice, IGN, and has a weekly comment at Rock Paper Shotgun about free games. I guess if you are just going to never actually do anything valuable, which this is definitely my jaded opinion of it, if you really are just going to be a critic and not a game developer, being a video game journalist and writing for Rock Paper Shotgun and the likes are pretty much all you can do. See, now I may have lost here just because this guy has so much health. We'll see. We'll see what we can pull off here. He's got no cards. He can't counter that. Do I have enough to do this? Okay. So, I don't think this would do enough, or it might do just enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That would do 20, and then that would do 30. So if I am off by even one number, then I'm going to leave myself completely vulnerable. So we've got 19 things happening here in the queue. That's going to do 20 damage here, leaving him at exactly 10, or it should. Well, that left him at 2. Well, oops. Why was I off by 1? Oops. So you gotta get your numbers right, and something was wrong there. Had I had one more minion on the field, that wouldn't have gone that way. But we're still doing fine. But this is kind of a more complicated gameplay strategy than just going full aggro and attacking people with creatures. He has a great hand that needs to be mulliganed. Only one land. Let's see. Next person we have is Kimberly Vole. Kim is a game developer specializing in design. She co-founded Stray Bombay Company and is currently working on the unannounced co-op shortly. Most recently, she was the principal designer at Riot Games, while in the past life she was a professor of computer science. So we already had a Riot Games story today. Jeez. Wow. Are we going to really mulligan to 3? Alright. You can't do better than that. Like, we've got to... gotta put back basically everything. Mulligan to 4. Yep. So it'd be interesting if it turned out Kimberly Bowl was one of the people that left Riot because of Riot's bad behaviors or Riot's management's bad behaviors. Oh man, I really walked into a landmine covering this article too. And we still have plenty of garbage games coming out on Steam where I really don't have time for covering all these people. The next is the Excellent in Visual Arts Awards. Sam Butcher, let's see, worked on Gnog, so here's another person that worked on Gnog. So Greg Lebanor, let's see, he made Wander Song. Okay, that's qualified. If you've made a game, you deserve to be a game that was even slightly successful. You deserve to be on the list of people criticizing or reviewing these games that are going to be submitted. Or these student projects, I think, are what they are. Morelli Fox, environmental artist for Red Hook Studios. Kitty Callis is an artist and designer. Worked on Horizon Zero Dawn. Jesse Turner. Jesse the Drawbarian Turner, apparently. He works at Clay Entertainment. Chelsea Hash worked on What Remains of Edith Finch. And Amanda Williams is illustrator to environmental artist living in Austin, Texas. She worked on Spider, The Secret of Bryce Manor, never heard of it. Ride of the Shrouded Moon, never heard of it. Waking Mars, and Where the Water Tastes Like Wine. Which, Where the Water Tastes Like Wine had a very striking, but very different and not well received, in my opinion, artistic take. But at the very least, I will say that category was better by far than what the previous two categories were, as far as people qualified to give awards. Excellent in Visual Arts Award, which I guess it's only the best student game award that's actually student games. The excellent in narrative is just narrative people. In all fairness, I love narrative. Like, I totally want more narrative in games. I just don't give much. Oh, what's the right word? I don't appreciate a lot of these authors who think they're authors and are really nothing but just blowhards that exist throughout the world in every field, not just video games. Alright, I think we've got to block this guy. So let's move on. That took way too long. God Eater version 2.2 updates launches December 9th. It adds Lulu and Ricardo chapters of Encounters with the Past. I don't know how this really would work, how you would best be suited to play some of these, play God Eater, considering how it seems like it is just constantly getting updated. They are adding a new game plus mode and jukebox feature, so it might very well be that God Eater 3 is going to be the best 2019 game of 2020, just because of how much updates have been added. And there's a little trailer video that I could show you, but I'm not going to bother. It's just two people sitting around talking around a fireplace, and then there's another trailer showing Ricardo's chapter, which just shows people talking to each other again. Yeah, there's a lot more story, I think, in God Eater 3 than anybody gave it credit for, because basically they gave no credit to the God Eater series at all. And I think there actually is a decent game in that. But if it were really gonna be up to me, I would much prefer to play the Code Vein game, which is the beginning of a new potential series, over playing the God Eater games, which is almost certainly just the third game, although you probably don't really need to play God Eater 1 or 2 to get into God Eater 3. A little backstory on God Eater is that, like, these are basically conscribed warriors fighting giant monsters, and so there's a lot of story, I think, around that concept that's excuse me, that's being an issue too, is that a lot of people are getting forced into battles they don't want to fight. Let's see, moving on, Gematsu has an article here. Near 10th anniversary website opened. Just the logo for now. So the Nier series has been out for 10 years, although I think most people would pretty well say that you probably don't really need to have played any of the previous Nier games before Nier Automata. Nier launched originally on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox in April of 2010. And then it took them 7 years to release Automata on February of 2017, or March 2017 for PC, or June 2017 for Xbox One. So it's a definitely different story to say, yeah, we're having a 10th anniversary, but we've only got 2 games to really mention. Frankly, the best thing they could possibly do is very early announce a third game in the series, a sequel to Nier Automata, basically. And that might be a hard goal to pull off, frankly. Seems like I'm having a bit of a slump here. We could probably play the Wednesday Brawl, but yeah, playing the Wednesday Brawls don't really get you anything, and then they're not. It's just not a format right now that I'm motivated in playing. Like, if it gave me anything whatsoever, I'd do it every Wednesday. Like, it just needs to give me a little bit of XP or a little bit of experience, gold, or anything at all. Honestly, if Hearthstone's Tavern Brawls that happened every Wednesday originally gave me nothing, I would not have played any of those Tavern Brawls, because they were terrible. And I will say Magic's Commander Brawls are not that bad, and they do seem to have a place in the history of people who have been playing Magic in the past. But since I'm not one of those people, and Commander doesn't seem like it's too much different from Magic, it's not that interesting. Let's see, we've got a game on Steam. First game we're looking at Steam here, called Roller Play, which is like a lane switching infinite runner with a bunch of asset flips. And I call them asset flips because you're just in the skybox of an ocean and you've just got a bunch of things. Now what's interesting here on this video in particular is, see, it's an infinite runner, but it's not putting you in a position where you can really look up to the high place, you have like a wizard here, and then you have a bouncy 3D modeled, very glossy 3D modeled person. It's like they're skating backwards sometimes too. This is not a game you could actually play, and it seems to have a level designer. Like, I'm not calling it a rhythm runner, but I'll see it. See, just like very glossy, high gloss. Now this one is just flying, so this character must be like a backup character or something, or that's the equivalent. And then you can see there's a lot of boob jiggle physics being highlighted here too. So this is early access, requires VR, but it's only $9.99 and it's English only. This feels like a low effort attempt. First of all, there's no reason why this needs to be in VR. There's no way that this game, the way it looks, makes sense in VR. Are you going to, in VR, be leaning left and right while you're playing this, whether you need to or whether you just naturally do lean left and right? If you do, you're almost certainly going to fall over eventually. And there's just kind of nothing here. The fact that there's a wizard just for no reason, like just wizard out of nowhere. Yeah, low effort asset flip game, equivalent of in VR now. Trying to sell somewhat on the sex. And here we are again. Just gonna have to exit out. Yeah, I just don't know what happened there. Like, I don't know why all of a sudden the network's having trouble. But we seem to be having trouble. So apologies for that, but then I just clicked the wrong thing, so let me just bring up the right thing, make sure we're there. And see, then you immediately have a connection. So there's something here where this needs to time out and it's not timing out. And maybe that is something where I just need to have my timeouts set really, really low, whereas normally for my network I set them extremely high, and it doesn't seem like it matters for anybody else. Like, you add if your timeouts are set too low, you will add network congestion and traffic. As far as the number of TCP ports and UDP ports that are left open forever, that's kind of not a big problem, because I don't think there's much, if any, traffic that's actually being sent through the network to just keep a port open. I just think it stays open in general, fine, without sending any kind of refresh signal. I'd have to do some research on that, actually. There's been a lot of theoretical research on timing and networking, and I think very little actual evidenced research or evidence-based facts found. Alright, next we have a game on Steam called Go for Soldier 1. This looks like it is probably a low effort or medium effort mobile game that is getting ported to Steam. It looks like it's Russian. It's $12.74. That's already too expensive. It's discounted to that amount. English only. Bunch of achievements with numbers on them. Yeah. So if it's English only, then answer me, why is this... Oh, that's not Russian language. I thought I saw some Russian. I guess maybe it's just because it's red text on a red background. Just bad design in general. And I suppose if you can't be bothered to if you can't be bothered to properly display your own text, you probably didn't try too hard to make your game good either. There we go. And no attacks. See, next we have a game on Steam called Racer, which almost sounds like they're talking about human races racing each other, but it's probably not that. It's just a kind of low polygon racing game. Let's see, $4.99, English full audio allegedly. Let's see what this developer has made otherwise. Mouse Mayhem Shooting and Racing. Okay. This came out December 11th. Yeah, I don't think this is a trustworthy developer from the looks of it. It seems like they're putting out some just mediocre games, things that might have flown by if they were a they might fly by if they were being used for an Android game or something, but aren't high quality enough to justify being on Steam or PC in general. Let's see, we have a game here on Steam called Maniac, which is a obviously extremely low effort dark screenshot syndrome top-down twin-stick shooter game. It's free, so I guess the price is right, English only, but not something I think worth anybody's time. Yeah, and I'm in a weird position where if I spend the extra time, I could have curated a lot of these games, or if not almost all the games this week out and not talked about any games, but that doesn't really work for me particularly well. Alright, so this guy stole my card, I think, but I don't think it matters. Trying to look and see if any of these cards actually do damage to creatures or lower their health in any way. It seems like the answer to that is no. So that. And this can't do anything more, so we're good. If I can get down to this point, I probably could win. Particularly if I can play this and this, but I don't think I can. I'm in danger of losing. Alright. So I'm gonna have to make some tough choices this next turn. This on the field. I want this on the field. I want this on the field. So I can't activate this now. I can't. I could draw a card and then play a card, but I don't think I need to do that. I can gain health, though. I can't play this, so we have to play this. Alright. Okay. So, without running the numbers here, the goal would be to activate this, get triple attacks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8, 16, 24. That should be enough, plus 10. See how this works. 23 damage. Well, 22 damage plus 10. We're down. We got it. Remember, you could have a fourth vindictive vampire also. So you could have 4 damage plus 4 heals for potentially 10 creatures on the field. It would be somewhat difficult to have 10 creatures consistently on the field, but not impossible by any means. Next game we have on Steam here is called Earth Knight. Now this looks like this is a infinite runner platformer, but it just has so much artistic appeal to it. It's actually polished, unlike so many other games that we've seen. Let's just... So you're like riding on the backs of flying dragons, Chinese dragons. It seems like it is kind of just this infinite runner jumping thing. This actually looks like they're actually trying. And for that reason, I'm going to put it on the fall list. It's $14.99, which is pretty expensive. It's English full audio only, which seems a little odd. You have a kind of weird combination of a young African-looking girl and then an old white guy, for lack of a better term, with a big bushy beard. So that's interesting characters, I suppose. But try to figure out how these two characters would in any way connect in the storyline. Alright, I mulliganed once, so we'll get rid of Taste of Death. That's a late game card anyways. And so the question would be, are we going to play this or hold on to this? Let's hold on to it. Yeah, Earth Knight might be good if it's well received. That's the big if on all of this, is if it's well received. Let's see. Put that on the field. Next, we have a game on Steam here that's just a bunch of Asian characters. It's a platforming building lemmings style game. Not by any means the worst Chinese, like, simplistic game. But apparently it's called Running Lollies, or Loli. But that doesn't really get labeled anywhere. So... And half of these screenshots are just the labels, different artworks. And this is a cat girl lolly, I suppose. English not supported, $1.99, Chinese only. You can kind of see how it's low effort and how they're just trying to sell something that's probably not that good. It feels like it very possibly only has like 10 or 20 levels on it, so nothing there of interest. Not that I could play it anyway, since it doesn't support English. And I will say almost certainly the exact same thing for this game, which is also a bunch of Asian characters. It's a free-to-play MMO, almost certainly a mobile phone game port. Doesn't look terrible, doesn't look great. There's almost like a difference here where you walk around the 3D environment and then the actual battles are a team of actually 7 characters or something like that. Maybe the battles themselves are just, this is a bunch of abilities or something you have. English is not supported, it's free, but it has in-app purchases. It's an MMO. It's Chinese only. Almost certainly too, you kind of question how much content is actually in it and how much are you just, are they, the creators of the game, expecting the community to create their own phone. Alright, well, so yeah, this one, what is this one doing? It's just buffing up that creature, and now it has menace. Seriously? I need murder really bad right now. And I don't have it, so all I can do is attack with this. So he powered out through that, and so Steel Overseer is just like great. Each artifact creature you control. Wow. This is a nice blue-white deck. I may have finally figured out how to make a blue deck, play a bunch of artifact creatures, and play this card. Alright, well, I'm doomed. Play this, and lost. Next we have a game on Steam here called Tactics Age of Affliction, which looks pretty low effort, just bad color palette, bad artistic design. It's early access, they want $39.99 for it. It says it's English full audio. There's nothing here that looks like it deserves even $9.99, let alone $39.99. So let's look at our decks for a second. I just want to see blue and then artifacts. Where would an artifact be? Here it is. So if I was going to make a blue artifact thing, I would need this, I do have Arcanist Owl. I have like 4 of these, but I would need something to synergize with that way more. Like I would have to play, it almost is a complete colorless deck at that point. You're just playing artifact monsters a lot. And do I have the steel characters? I don't think I do. If I do have them, I haven't seen them. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have the right creatures there. And as far as white artifact creatures, don't have any of that either. Okay. So there is a strategy there. It just doesn't work for me because I don't have it. Let's go ahead and just play regular. I think we are too much up and down on the ranked play, frankly. And it would be better for me to just get more victories and guarantee 15 victories by the end of a stream than potentially having to play even more off screen, which honestly may be all I'm going to do today anyways, but I should at least leave the door open. I'm still reeling over network problems messing up my cell phone game, which is playing as we speak. Destiny Child's got way too much stamina and need to drain all that stamina. I have way too many characters now. They've been giving away characters like crazy, and yesterday was the last day, I guess, technically, or today's the last day. To the point where I've only been playing maybe for a year, probably less than a year, and I have almost a complete set that is going to work its way towards being perfected, and I'm really only short on evolution material and gold to merge characters and increase their stats, which you can do up to 6 times. And I don't think they're going to change that anytime soon. There are still definitely some characters that are very rare or impossible to get. But otherwise, I'm very well suited, which is great. I would like to have it be at a point where I have tons of the premium currency crystals, which you can grind for, so it's not a 100% premium currency, but I'd like to have tons of that ready for the next exclusive collab character that comes out, because the collab characters are a one-time thing and then they disappear, and if I could get all the characters in the next expansion, that would be great. If I can get all those characters in the next expansion at a max rating and max stacked version. I exited out there in the hopes that that won't make me log back in, but I think it is probably gonna make me log back in. Nope. Are you gonna get lucky? The fact that you can just exit out, it's not like I'm even hitting Control-Alt-Delete or anything, but the fact that I can just exit out and that somehow messes up their network stream shows they've just got some really, really bad net code going on. They really shouldn't be running into this. And see, now I'm just looking at a black screen, and yeah, well, we'll see what this black screen's gonna do. While we're looking at this, we have Gamatsu over here. Doraemon, Nobita's new dinosaur game has some first screenshots. It's due out March 5th, 2020 in Japan. The thing about Doraemon games is, since they are basically for very, very young kids, I don't know if there's ever like a legitimate relevant reason to try and cover them. even below like something more like Pokemon, where adults do play Pokemon. I don't think too many adults actually play Doraemon. So yeah, and we're still on the black screen. Let's see. Can we get something to load? We'll do one more article and then I'll try and load it again. TechRaptor has an article here. Steven Universe is coming to Apple Arcade. Steven Universe Unleashed the Light. I feel like there's probably been more than one Steven Universe game. Apple Arcade certainly trying to expand its lineup, I think, a lot better than Stadia is. Unleash the Light this is the third Steven Universe RPG to launch since the show debuted in 2013. The first released on iOS and Android in 2015. That was called Attack the Light. Let's see. Yeah, whatever. I basically have no interest in Steven Universe, so and I don't think it will be that relevant that long. It would be almost the equivalent of me playing a My Little Pony game, but at least if I was going to play or cover a My Little Pony game, there is some history and relevancy there that just does not exist with Steven Universe or any of these Nickelodeon cartoons that go 2 or 3 seasons and then they end. I think that is certainly also the case for Ruby, which I saw a speedrun of Ruby, and the entire game is just hacking and slashing the whole time through. So having no love or interest in the no love or interest for the Ruby series, it doesn't really make a lot of sense that I would want to play it, since I don't care about any of the characters, and if it is just going to be a button mashing game. Well, after about the 3rd reboot, we finally got back into the game. Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Action adventure game Tamarin delayed to January of 2020. No surprise that we're going to start seeing more delays as we hit the end of the year. What is this game? It looks like it's a kid-friendly, maybe, adventure game, which we could always use some more kid-friendly adventure games, particularly when you have things like Yooka-Laylee that feel like they're kid-friendly adventure games, and then when I go and play the original Yooka-Laylee, it's like super not easy to play, so and too frustrating, frankly, for kids to play. TechRaptor has an article here. Lamplight City commentary track coming in a free update. It's an interesting idea to have a commentary track in a game. The big issue, though, is it seems like this was just a point-and-click adventure game that I don't recognize, or I don't think anybody has actually been super interested in talking about. Whereas, like, the commentary track on BioShock 1 is way more informative and entertaining, since BioShock 1 was a super successful AAA game. I would argue, though, that I've yet to see a commentary track be really valuable or add much of anything. It very possibly is just a case that there is not a lot to say, or it's all just been said and gets said in interviews or other elements, other ways. Computer programmers spend the vast majority of their time programming, so programming games is not going to be particularly interesting things to talk about. It's a lot of beating your head against the wall until the software decides to actually work the way you planned it for it to work. Where the story writers and the narrators and the artists can only say so much. Like an artist can talk about our inspirations for maybe an hour or two, or design choices for an hour or two, and the story writer can talk about his what stories inspired him and his directions for an hour or two. And the director can pretend like he did something and take credit, certainly, but that can only go for an hour or two. So at best, you maybe can stretch it out into a 2-hour commentary, which works perfectly fine for a movie. But even in movie commentary tracks, they often work best if you have 3 or 4 or 5 people in the room, or 3 or 4 or 5 people talking and then intercutting their dialogue as if they were all in the room at the same time, even if they actually weren't. Which is a trick that I think gets done quite a bit. Don't want to attack? Nope. Because we have our end game here. Just got to keep people on the field. And anything he plays is probably not going to help him too much. Draw a card. And then put a white here. So I can put that on the field. So I can play that for free. I can put that there. I can do that. Alright, and then next we do nothing because he realizes he's lost. Alright, and we are in as good of a position as any to wrap up this recording. We've been going about an hour, hopefully my timer's not off. So as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to another recording of MTG Arena. Today is Wednesday, December 4th. We're just trying to get the last 6 victories of the day and cover the news, so let's just hop into it and start playing. We're running into network issues, unfortunately. And it seems to be as much Magic's fault as it is my fault. But it seems like it probably is in part my fault. But yeah, Magic Arena's net code, not great, to say the least. We have a game here on Steam called Valka's Story, which seems to be an attempt at making kind of like a Russian GTA game, but its graphics are just a little rough. You know, there's just not enough visual polish here, and I imagine the game itself is not particularly that interesting, in the sense that even GTA is not that interesting. You have this video that starts with somebody with him opening the door and just getting punched, and then it goes to a scene of his arm clipping through the door, and then you just see cutscenes here and fighting, and I don't think any of the hits were even there. This is $2.39, so you know that there's a problem there when your game is discounted to $2.39 and it's selling itself to look like GTA. There's a bundle, well, there's two bundles here, so one with 15 items and one with 5. So you kind of also know that a certain amount of people who've just put like 15 or so games and bundles have not been flagged by Steam's new efforts to get rid of people who abuse the bundle system. Although, honestly, I'm not 100% sure what Valve thinks bundling abuse is, and I'm not 100% sure what I think it is either. Certainly, I have seen some bundles with 100 games for less than $50, and that's excessive, and it's really just an indicator that none of those games are even worth that much. But is 15 too much? Is 20 too much? You know, there are some legitimate AAA publishers out there, including Valve themselves, that have bundles of all their games available. And so Valve almost certainly has to stay under the number that they bundle, or above the number of the games that they bundle, otherwise they're going to look like hypocrites. Let's see. You can go ahead and just attack here. Yeah, and this game is, of course, English with Russian full audio and Chinese. And let's see, 9 achievements. I can't really call that a Russian low effort. Game even. I'd have to call that more of a Russian low quality game, which every developer, wherever they are, has the possibility of making a low quality game. Let's keep the pressure up and play this. He can either defend and kill his guy, or not. Yeah, I don't know what he thought he was going to accomplish with that, but whatever. Okay, I've got only one of those. If we play this, that'll be all of that. Just put that on the field first, though. So we have a 1, let's get rid of a 2. 2 and a 3. If he can play some strategy to get rid of these 2. Next, we have a game on Steam called Scriptum VR, The Neighbor's House Escape Room, which sounds way too descriptive for a name and looks just like it is a low effort asset flip VR horror game. $6.39 discounted, making it particularly cheap for a VR game. Like way too cheap. There we go. Let's see. could do like 3 damage instead of that, but I'm just setting up here to play this gruesome menagerie. So yeah, script and VR not making it to the follow list. Oh darn, he killed and exiled the 1 card. Let's do this. Start by putting back everything. Play that. And he just gives up at that point. And you kind of love it. You gotta kind of love it when it's just like people don't even try. They know their beat. They're not playing on ranked. They don't have that extra pressure. So we can just play the game and move on. And they can concede and move on too. Tigraptor has an article here. Barkham Horror is a Fantasy Flight's April Fool's joke come to life, which is a dog Arkham Horror game. But it's a real world card game that I'm pretty sure wouldn't be worth making a digital version of. I don't even think that there is a digital version of Arkham Horror, or if there is, it's been of so little impact that I haven't seen anything about it or thought of it. Gamasutra has an article here. Apple is named the best iOS games of 2019. So, let's see. Sky Children of Light was named Game of the Year. Let's see. That's the developer of Journey and Flower. Hyperlife Drifter took iPad Game of the Year. Wonder Boy The Dragon's Trap was Apple TV's Game of the Year. So yeah, those aren't terrible picks. I think Apple is kind of proving with their Game of the Year awards. They keep it short and sweet and highlight the best of the best, and they're not putting out garbage extra awards just to be nice to people or as a way of promoting or advertising. I imagine Apple really cares very little on promoting or trying to sell more copies of games on their iPhones. Although almost certainly the first generation of iPhones were in no way focused. Jeez, be quiet. Be a little bit quieter. That's too loud. Yeah, almost certainly the iPhone generation ones were not thought of in any way as gaming devices, and now they're trying to promote them more as that. Previous winners apparently are Mario Kart Tour, Dr. Mario World, Minecraft Earth, Pokemon Masters, Assassin's Creed Rebellion, Gears Pop, Elder Scrolls Blade, Alien Blackout, Call of Duty Mobile. Like all of those being original releases, not remakes or tributes, whatever a tribute would be, as whatever you'd call a tribute. Your bags and hit the according to Gamasutra. But yeah, if I play this, I can't play this, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this. I don't know what they think they're doing, particularly to have 2 planeswalkers killed. There you go. Well, what can I bring back? One card. Yeah. And we're good now. We've got a white mana if we need it. We've got more than 6. Even with nothing on the field, we can play Bolas
I
Citadel.
like a good fight. Notice that you won this time.
He's trying to get rid of everything in my graveyard as if my graveyard is even my strategy. Graveyard would be a strategy for a black deck a lot of times, so it's not like it's a bad idea. It's just, it's the wrong idea. It's the wrong idea from my strategy. Gamatsu has an article here. A Resident Evil 3 remake cover appears in the PlayStation Store. It's all been confirmed. Resident Evil Resistance also seems like it is confirmed that, yeah, they're working on Resident Evil 3 remake, which, I mean, it's not like that was a surprise. Meanwhile, they did something that took a lot of the exiled cards out of my hand. Or had me draw a bunch of cards.
Scarce.
So what? Play that. I gotta resolve this first, I guess. When an opponent draws a card, you can play 2 mana. If that player doesn't, you create a treasure token. So I'll just decline that. I don't need that. Meanwhile, this should be on the field for sure. That should be on the field. I don't think I could particularly easily play that one. Let's see, do that. And let's see. I don't have enough mana to draw a card with this. And I don't have anything in my hand. Well, if I play this, no, I can do that. And then that lets me do this. That lets me get a little bit further. And as long as I don't lose all of these guys, I've won. Alright, I lost all those guys. But I've still potentially won. I've just got to get more characters back on the field. Yeah, it's really just a matter of figuring out, waiting until the review and reception of Resident Evil 3 Remake comes out, and just making sure all the Resident Evil games that are getting made are actually good games, and this isn't, we aren't getting back to the sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad scenario. Let's see. So I can just attack now. I can just attack now, or I could just use Bolas Citadel and do 10 damage without even having to do any extra damage. Regardless, we've got victory. It's nice. It's nice to just get victories. This looks new. Destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. For a black red. I probably wouldn't play that card, but it's different. Next we have a game on Steam here called Free Running. I kind of like the idea of free running, and this is from Rebellion, which I believe Rebellion is the somewhat recognizable name. These character models actually look a little bit more polished than your normal like low effort asset flip game, but you really aren't seeing a lot here, and certainly in still you're not going to see a lot. This is basically, I guess, a skate game without the skateboard. It's a free running game where you customize the characters and you run. Interesting enough, what's smart about this, I would guess, is that Rebellion either is in the process of developing a game. If Rebellion is the company I'm thinking of, they're either in the process of developing a game that it makes sense to have these kinds of animations and the kind of programming needed to smoothly activate these animations, or they've made games in the past where they've already done this work. Or so having a AAA or indie developer who does some AA style developments, I guess is more where I'd put Rebellion, have that information and being able to sell that is probably useful. Yeah, Rebellion is the Sniper Elite company more than anything, so is there anything, as none of the images are loading right now, that would line up with that? Because it's not like Sniper Elite or Zombie Army would have free running in it. Could be that free running is an older game getting released on PC, because Rebellion does seem like they're somewhat there. Like the last game they released was Strange Brigade also. So this could also be a case of they were working on a much bigger game and this is the only stuff they could salvage and sell. So it really would come down to reception on this. This definitely deserves to be on the follow list, but at $5 discounted, there may not be many challenges or any challenges or anything else like that. The way this is labeled, it says free running is back, so it seems to me like it's a older game. So yeah, that seems like they're releasing an older game. For $5 you get 50 moves, 9 challenging modes, unlock new characters, and free roaming gameplay. So it may not be like there's too much here, but yeah, I think it deserves to be on the follow list. We'll see what the reception is. It's very possible when you compare it to something like Mirror's Edge, which probably has, even the original Mirror's Edge probably has much more fluid movement and a seriously, I think am I gonna have to log in yet again? Yeah, Mirror's Edge also has that story element to it. Yeah. Seems like when you... What does this button do? Oh, that just makes it worse. It seems like when there's a story element to it, like Mirror's Edge has, you are going to have a better experience. Yeah, and it seems like it is my network that's having the trouble, unfortunately, because my cell phone game that's taking up small bits of bandwidth is also running into the same problem. And a more modern game very possibly does just trump an old free running game, And there are some better games out there, like Bulletstorm, for instance, doesn't have a ton of free running, but it's probably a much better game than just free running alone. And see, now I'm just getting full blackness. Like, if Magic the Gathering Arena could just be consistent with the way it errors out, that would be great. Alright, so we're gonna I'm just gonna go for a second off screen again, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. Honestly, unless I'm just trying to edit out the footage, there's no reason to actually go to the idle screen when I'm logging in. It's already showing off my YouTube channel's email address, which I don't really look at ever. So, and I'm just typing a password into an asterisk password field, which, unless I was going to mute my microphone, that's about all I need to do, because there have been some small successes. I don't think any large successes are out there. Maybe the governments have it, where people have been able to figure out what keys you're typing based on just the audio of what you're typing. But that's pretty much it. It would give some small bit of information as far as the length of a password, but that's by saying a bunch of asterisks, but that's kind of the only thing. And see, we're still running into problems. But I can't really fix it, not while I'm streaming. So next game we have here, we may just have to end playing Magic 2, and we may just have to cover the news, which would be good because we still got a ton of games. Here's another game from Rebellion called Gunlock. This is a top-down twin-stick shooter. It's probably an older game. I'm gonna give credit to Rebellion a little bit and probably put this on the fallen list. It's $4.24. It's English only, discounted. There might be a game here and some history here. The thing about Rebellion though is that they're like even a step down from THQ Nordic. They're hardly bringing in classics that people really are itching to play again. Let's see. In fact, TechRaptor has an article here. Rebellion is resurrecting 3 classics for digital distribution. And that's what games? Free Running, Gunlock, and World War Zero. Which I did see World War Zero on like Steam's storefront, and I'm like, boy, that they're getting really bad on the names. And I didn't realize that it was actually an older game before things like World War Z may have been out. Jeez, what am I supposed to do here? Do I just sit here forever? Do I click cancel? Or do I just exit out? And why does it not gracefully exit out when I say close? And then run into problems? Yeah. It's ridiculous. Alright, well then, let's try this again. And we'll just mute the mic this time. Of course, the problem with typing in the password and getting to this part is that's no guarantee that you're actually going to get into a game. TechRaptor has an article here. Steam controller orders are reportedly being canceled, which would be more evidence to the fact that they probably oversold them and then and were just clearing out inventory, which that's generally how you do things when you're clearing out inventory, is you oversell a few and then cancel too much, or you have your website actually work and know the exact number of units you have and sell that many. Maybe you sell 10% more, 20% more, whatever you would see as far as a return or cancel rate would be. But of course, since it's Valve, if one person goes on Reddit and says their order has been canceled for any reason whatsoever, they're going to try to make a big story out of it. Valve really does have a lot of I guess importance still circulating them, relevance circulating them. In a lot of ways, you could easily dismiss every bit of news from or about Valve, consider for the past decade, considering they've not really done much as far as making video games, and yet people still talk about them. Attack there. Moving on, Game of Sutra has an article, Get a Job. Snowcastle is hiring a gameplay programmer in Oslo, Norway. No block characters. Let's see. This is just a straight face race. And we're gonna win. Gamatsu has an article, The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics, launches February 4th, 2020. Dark Crystal came out on Netflix and people pretty much ignored it completely as far as I could tell. And really was a bad decision to make a video game tie-in for that series. That's just pretty crazy. Alright. Let's do this. I'm just gonna point out Gamatsu has Famitsu sales for 11.25 through 12.1. There's a bunch of numbers here about things. New is the SD Gundam game and 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. Everything else is a bunch of Nintendo stuff dominating. And the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S are selling better. Like, they clearly are doing something to get more sales in Japan than they were. Let's see. What do we want to do? We want to play this first. And play this. And play this. And then play this, and then go ahead and put that back on the field, and then go ahead and let's see, put that on the field, and that on the field. And do that. Or just wait till they give up. That works too. Next game. TechRaptor has an article. Persona 5 Royal nabs a late March release date. Man, I wish Atlas of Japan in particular would let people stream Persona and bring it to PC and Steam, because that would be a series I'd definitely play. Although, in all fairness, there are several like more Japanese anime-esque games that I've bought on my Steam account and I haven't gotten around to playing at this point. I have like all the Neptunia games and there's been no major progress there. Or no progress at all there. I haven't played any of it. Ah man, I screwed myself up on that one. Well, whatever. Game of Sutra has an article here. XR Games raises £1.5 million for new staff and new projects and staff. This apparently is a virtual reality developer. They have pictures of like the Angry Birds though. Apparently they made the Angry Birds movie 2 VR, which I thought that would have been Rovio that would have made the Angry Birds games. Whatever. It might be a subsidiary of Rovio. Game of Sutra has an article here. YouTube no longer equates video game and real world violence for age restrictions. They said this. We'll see how it really gets implemented. And since everything is automated and you've just got a bunch of I assume Indian people that are just looking at all the games that are getting flagged and then reviewing quote unquote any disputes. I wouldn't be surprised if there actually is very little change in policy. If your game does get flagged automatically for violence, it's almost certainly going to be a fight at minimum to get it unflagged. See, Game Citra has a blog here, the $0 Marketing Game Guide, which seems starts with this was a clickbait title. It's like just a lot of people put articles and blogs on Gamma Sutra and they turn out to be useless information or garbage information. Honestly, if you have $0 to market, then you should just make your game good. And frankly, you should just always focus on making your game good, because word of mouth is the best advertisement any game can ever get, and it's the type of advertisement you want to create. See, Gamma Sutra has an article here. Google Play names Call of Duty Mobile as the best Android game of 2019. When you compare that to what Apple called the best Apple game of 2019, that does not compare well. See, some other categories here: Brawl Stars, Call of Duty Mobile, Rumble Stars, Football, Tactical, Tennis Clash. I haven't heard of most of those. Ailment, Chuckle, Grim Valor, Stardew Valley, Tiny Room Stories, Town Mystery. Haven't heard of most of those. Angry Birds Dream Blast, Diner Dash Adventures, Golf Peaks, Mario Kart Tour. Isn't it Mario Kart World Tour? Actually. Vineyard Valley Match and Blast Puzzle Design Game. Arcario, Assassin's Creed Rebellion, Auto Chess, Elder Scrolls Blades, and Minute. Yeah. That's not a good list of games, frankly, when the vast majority of them I can't even recognize. I think Apple is definitely winning when it comes to promoting their mobile platform as something that is for gamers, where Google is dropping the ball, as Google often does. I think I saw that two of the original creators of Google and Alphabet are leaving the company completely too. Sergey and Larry, I believe, is the other guy's name. But they had already been out the door pretty much anyways, and Google's just too big of a company. It would be very interesting and almost certainly better if Google and Alphabet just got antitrust broken up and YouTube became its own company, and then Google Email and Google Ads all got broken up into different services also. Let's just go ahead with no blocks on that one. Let's see, Gamma Sutra has an article here. Over 45 million PlayStation home consoles have been sold in 25 years. So, yeah, PlayStation, big success. I don't think there's much of a way to dispute that. Alright, so this guy is now limited at 6. So I can now get my health back. It'll become a race to see who can do the most damage first. You can see the beginning of the end. Game Sutra has an article here. Persona 5 has topped 3.2 million sales worldwide. So yeah, it's a success, but unfortunately their copyright claims and streaming restrictions cause it to not get the coverage it probably deserves. Yeah, just to go back and compare, here's Apple's Games of the Years. Sky Children of Light, Hyperlight Drifter, Wonder Boy, The Dragon's Trap. And that's pretty much it. A short and sweet list of 3 games, and I would say more interesting, probably better games than Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And it's more deserving of an award. Come on, draw me into a card. Here's that other game that Rebellion re-released, World War Zero, which, yeah, by the looks of it, almost certainly not a game worth playing. But maybe I'll be super generous at $4.24 English full audio. I'll put it on the follow list, but almost certainly that playing a zombie military shooter game that is from 2002 that I don't recognize and thus has no personal relevance to me, that would be a hard sell. That's good, but it's not good enough. I should have played this as a white color instead of a black. Then I could have played this. Like, I've got to really learn that every time I play Heraldic Banner on this deck, I need to play it as white, because this is the only card that needs white in the deck, and it definitely needs it. And can't block that, so okay. If this guy gets through, he'll be close. I've probably lost here. See, Gamatsu has an article of VVV Tunia teaser website has been opened. This is the virtual reality Neptunia spin-off game that has recently been announced. There's nothing more to really say other than we've got the anime girls representing different video game companies and consoles and such. I imagine it won't be too much different than any of the other previous Neptunia games. I cannot believe I survived there. Why did I survive? I think the guy is just teasing me at this point. Let's see. Kind of want to stay here and just look and see what he's gonna do. Does he have a way to do one more damage? Yeah, he does. Although he's chosen to do something very different. He's just playing around, I think. I don't have a lot of appreciation for people playing around on games like these where it's particularly long games and they're asking for a lot of time commitment. Having people waste my time is not that helpful or interesting. Gamatsu has an article, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 is coming to Switch in spring 2020. So, okay. A game that's already, I believe, on PC is coming to the Switch. We see a lot of that all the time. A game called Weakless has been delayed to December 13th for the Xbox One and early 2020 for PC, according to Gamatsu. I don't know what this game is, though. I haven't even seen it. Let's see. It looks kind of pretty, and it seems like you're playing as some kind of plant-like creatures. And it seems like there's a lot of lighting elements that are going to play a role. I would say that these characters with the glowing orbs on their heads are probably not practically designed well enough to be a character that would be the beginning of a series. I think, yeah, you're pretty much doomed to only have one game in that series. Gamatsu has an article here, Criminal Girls X details worlds and characters and systems. The Criminal Girls series being anime girls in hell or in a jail. I think they're supposed to be in hell as criminals, and you're supposed to quote-unquote rehabilitate their evil souls, mostly by groping them in the minigames, and I think it's pretty much a dungeon crawler other than that. Yeah, and the smartphone game in particular seems to have a decent amount of girls, so I'm wondering if this is going to be like a gacha game where you just are going to have teams of 5 that are working on your side. Let's see. Battle Azura Realm. Dungeon. You clear dungeons with your battle squad. The story is mainly in the present Azura Realm. I don't know if there is a Criminal Girls anime. There have been previous games. Shop and item related equipment and item related gacha. Gacha, G-A-C-H-A. Although they certainly trick you into spending a lot of money if you're not careful. Equipment and weapons, research for summons, movies, daily rewards, and screens. So depending on how this plays, if this comes to in English format as a smartphone game, this might be a competitor to the game I play, Destiny Child. That being said, it would almost have to be a secondary experience because I imagine this is just not going to be a game that has too many characters to start off with, and you're going to have to wait for it to fully develop a year in. Although, if you are going to get into it, you probably should get into it in the beta or as early as possible because you'll want to try and collect everything. What this looks like as far as gameplay seems to be a little bit animated differently than what you would expect. Yeah, and I certainly would have to see how automated this is. If this is like the Azure Lane cell phone game, then there's just kind of nothing there that I would want to play. It seems like they're going for more of a 3D open world environment. It's probably not really an open world, but something similar to that. PC and Android versions to be released via DL site Nijiyome, which, okay. So the question will become, is it coming to English? It's due out for iOS, Android, and PC in the spring of 2020. It'll be free to play with advertisements and item-based microtransactions. There's probably a problem with that. Like, I don't think I want to see advertisements in a game, in a free-to-play game like that, a gacha game. Like, that's asking too much. Even though I have an ad blocker that would almost certainly block them anyways, having pop-up ads just delays the gameplay. Alright, try it again. And the retry just does not work. So what I should do, as I log in again here, is just try a Control-Alt-Delete type, and if it runs into the screen, and see if that's easier and faster. I'm going to mute myself again and type in the password for like the 4th time today. Now we're backtracking at this point. It's having trouble even loading in the password. I need 3 more victories. We've got a little bit more of news. We still got plenty of news to talk about though, so yeah, there's still definitely things. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip over to the articles and skip over the games, then we'll come back to the games. Gamatsu has an article here, Famitsu review scores, issue 1618. Let's see, Control got 34 out of 40. Dark Pictures, Distant Distraint Deluxe Edition. Ghostbusters, the video game, got 32 out of 40. Headliner. Pokemon Sword and Shield got 38 out of 40. Let's see. Sparklight got 28 out of 40. That's pretty low. Yokai Watch 4++ got 36 out of 40. Every 1 point here seems like it means a lot more than you normally would guess. But I'm usually used to looking at it of a 10 out of 10 scale, but I guess maybe in my mind I'd turn that to a 100 scale anyways. So yeah, game's got some reviews. I'm not going to go over all of them. I'm going to mulligan this, and I'll stick with this one. It's a little surprising that Pokemon got a 38 out of 40, more than the other scores I looked at. Not super surprising, but that's a little shocking. I guess a lot of the other elements, the missing elements and the low quality of the graphics of Pokemon Sword and Shield didn't factor. Let's see, moving on. Gamatsu has an article here. Meekage announces an original project published by Access Games for the PS5, PS4, Switch, and PC. I don't know who Meekage is. Let's see. I'm gonna publish a VR version of this. I've never heard of Meekage. Let's just click on their hashtag. Apparently they worked on Criminal Girls, X, and What else? Back in 2008, former Image Pooch president's new company, Mikage. So this is basically the second game that they've even made. No surprise there that I haven't heard of them or I don't recognize the name. It doesn't even seem like they worked on the other Criminal Girls games. Which kind of came and went. Speaking of something that's come and gone, for the Xbox One, Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition is now available. I just wanted to mention that because I want to double check and see what the state of Neverwinter Nights is on Steam and whether it was a good game ever or not. It's a name I certainly remember because of its alliteration, but I'm not sure it was ever actually good. So if it's good, if it's on Steam, I'll potentially play it or put it on the wish list, but if it isn't, no. Gamatsu has an article here. Mega Man Zero is the X Legacy Collection, details minigames and new Kaiseki Mizuno artwork. So, yeah. Mega Man games, more Mega Man games will always be made until people stop buying Mega Man games, or the developers of Mega Man games can think of something better to do with their time. Alright. Not ready yet. Let's just leave it. Gamatsu has an article here. Bluepoint Games PS5 project will become the achievement we're most proud of. Shadow of Colossus, currently its personal favorite, so yeah. Of course Bluepoint Games would say that, though, is that they make one game per generation at most for the PlayStation, and of course every time they make a game it's more and more ambitious artistically and possibly less and less quality and gameplays wise, because let's face it, The Last Guardian, which is I think their latest game, not super successful by any means. I'm starting to wear out my voice, I can feel it. Gamatsu has an article here. Dead Cells DLC The Bad Seed launches Q1 2020. Didn't realize Dead Cells was going to get more DLC. And yeah, by the time I get around to playing it, nobody will even care about Dead Cells, almost certainly. Gamatsu has an article here. Self-Fledge launches February 21st, 2020. Daughter Raising Simulator gets a new gameplay details in a walkthrough video. Let me go ahead and just scroll down here and make sure that there's nothing not YouTube friendly here. Let's see. There is Princess Maker as a series already, so Self-Fledge is horning in on a territory that already exists, but certainly could use more competition, I would say, too. Alright. Am I ready to attack? Nope. So, yeah. There's nothing visually unfamily friendly. If anything, this looks like it's probably a somewhat low quality game, maybe a Chinese spin-off. You're getting these chibi versions of encounters, and it looks like it's more of an RPG game than a time scheduling game. And if we look at the game, it seems like you are just bouncing around. Very flat animation and appearance here. Oddly, this is like the same, it looks more like the same girl, just closer to the screen each time. She's not drastically changing in appearance. So yeah, seems like it's a lot of dialogue, a lot of talking heads, a lot of RPG elements. Seems like they have a group of friends. That's not something I think I've seen with any of the Princess Maker games, and more of an RPG team. So the whole thing feels like it is being mislabeled, frankly, when they're calling it a daughter raising simulator. Alright. Yep. So yeah, maybe that'll be interesting, but almost certainly I'd say no. I think it's not going to get any coverage at all. It's just going to be a boring game. TechRaptor has an article. The Vatican Minecraft server was hit with a DDoS attack. I guess you could say maybe insert a joke here that they're super popular and that's why they're getting so much traffic, or you could say a joke here that they're super unpopular and that's why they're getting DDoS'd, or you could make a joke here going, why didn't Jesus or God protect the Minecraft server? Or you could make a joke here about why is the Catholic diocese, which is super rich, not capable of buying enough bandwidth and protection from a DDoS attack. You could go with all of these, and I don't think any of them really matter. I imagine it is certainly difficult. And I imagine lots of servers get DDoS'd all the time. And it's very possible And then here we have a tweet here. Apparently the breakdown here, it's like, I'm looking at the logs and it looks like a handful of people are constantly connecting and disconnecting to fill the player slots and kill the server. That's not guaranteed to be a DDoS attack. That could be just people with connection issues or whatever. And Linus Tech Tips in a lot of ways was running into the same thing when they were trying to run their Minecraft server. Then down here we have Truth Time. The MC server we've been running on was the test server. It allowed us to build a ban list of 100 or so user IDs and IPs and see where we would be attacked. Tomorrow we launch production server. So here you have Father Robert Balakar SJ, Padre SJ, who for a very long time was a major presenter and commentator on the Twit network. I haven't seen him on it lately. I thought he was in Rome getting retraining. Frankly, that's where I thought he was, and that's why I hadn't heard of him. But who knows the reason for that? So the inherent problem with a priest, a real priest saying truth time, is what is the double take that you inevitably have to have after that, and go when they're effectively admitting they weren't being truthful before. Like, lying is not encouraged, certainly amongst Catholicism and Christianity in general. Yeah, and yeah, I don't know what else to really say there. This is making a Minecraft server. I think I said before, and I think it still stands pretty obviously, that maybe you don't want your kids playing on the Catholic servers where a bunch of other Catholic priests might be hanging around. I would like to have seen a lot more hardcore information proving that there was a DDS there and that this isn't just a sensational advertisement ploy by the Catholic Church, I guess, to get kids to play on their Minecraft server. And I mean, I don't really know what goal there is other than that. Let's see. I think I've probably lost here. Moving on, Komatsu has an article here. Rumor, a Plague Tale Innocence sequel in development. Asobo Studio reportedly hard at work with a follow-up of the 2019 adventure game. I don't know how the story really ended, so I don't know what a sequel would really be. That is a game I want to play, but currently at this point, I just bought like Hellblade: Susuna's Sacrifice, so that is a good indicator of just how far behind I am compared to AAA games that are in development. And I'm not even sure that Plague Innocence Tales on Steam, but I think it is. That's kind of the problem, is I'm constantly running into the games like that where it's like I'm not 100% sure whether it's on Steam or not. Yeah, I don't think there's any saving here. The problem here, and this is why I have the Blight Beetle, is his strategy to gain health is also my strategy to gain health. So it just doesn't work. Like I can do a no attack here and try to defend some more, but it's only going to go so far. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Nintendo and Tencent have set a launch date for the Switch in China. Again, Nintendo, like all companies, being forced to partner with a Chinese company, thus giving their intellectual property and profits over to a company that totally doesn't deserve to be making any of that money. Alright, so like the only thing is maybe you could do this. No, you can't. We've got to block that. And then block that. Yep, and he still defeated me. The Switch's suggested retail price will be $298 effectively, or 2,099 yuan, which the fact that the Chinese dollar is so close to the US dollar is probably evidence of their currency manipulation, but I'm not an economist, so I'm not going to go into that spiel. I'll leave that for other people to investigate. Gamatsu has an article here. Twin stick shooter Xenoraptor is coming to PS4 on December 17th, Xbox One December 24th, and Switch December 25th. This is some game. Real descriptive there. Yeah, it looks like a twin stick space shooter game. Kinds that I see all the time and never have any interest in. So I'm gonna leave it that. Yeah, let's just keep four lands. Why not? We'll see how that plays out. Gamma Sutra has an article here. Ragnarok files legal complaint against Human Head Studios over Rune 2 assets. The Rune 2 publisher Ragnarok Games has filed a legal complaint against the developer Human Head Studios for withholding the game assets. It's a bizarre turn of events, given both companies work together to release the title, and one that's complicated by the fact that Human Head Studio is technically no more. So a company went out of business, they didn't hand over what they should have handed over to the intellectual property rights owner. This lawsuit almost certainly is part of a bankruptcy proceeding, or it's a case of them trying to pierce the veil, as it's called, and go after the people who ran Human Head Studios personally. Let's see. The quote here is, after repeated refusals by Human Head to produce these assets, we've had no choice but to file a legal complaint in order to obtain the Rune 2 game assets. We've exhausted all possible options before getting to this point. This is not the step we wanted to take, but it's necessary in order to fulfill our promise to our community. And certainly you have to timely file in a lot of lawsuits, otherwise you're going to just get kicked out of the court case immediately for not filing timely. Next, Gamatsu has an article here. Muchi Wire action game Muchi a Girl for Switch launches December 12th in Japan. This sounds like a game that is not going to come to the West. It seems like it's some kind of sushi game. I feel relatively secure that, well, that doesn't really look like a sushi game. That looks a lot more like Donkey Kong, or an Infinite Runner, Donkey Kong Country, Infinite Runner, more than anything else. Is there a whole, I think Muchi just means sushi or something like that. I don't think it means this style of gameplay. Maybe it does. Maybe Muchi, let's read that again. Muchi Wire action game. I guess that's a style of game. It's a style of game. I know that there's a series of games like this, but I didn't know that it had kind of branched off into its own genre. Let's see. Just gonna go ahead and attack. Actually, shouldn't have attacked with that one. But whatever.
I'll match you drop for drop.
Well, yeah, this game doesn't look particularly like something I would play, or many people would want to play. It might have an appeal to a small selection of people. Gamma Sutra has an article here. The Perception of Fairness as a blog.
Love to make a splash.
I don't want games to feel particularly too fair if I actually look at them, but subconsciously, if I'm just not actually looking at them, I want them to kind of feel fair. A game like this, since you were playing player versus player, is actually pretty fair. But I don't want single player games to be fair. I want them to cheat on my behalf non-stop. That's just how gaming goes in my mind, is I want it to benefit me and not have me failing all the time. On the other hand, I don't want something that feels completely unfair or super difficult. Even something like Dark Souls is often argued as a very fair game because it does the exact same thing each time. You know what to do, you just have to do it. It doesn't typically do any kind of BS where just a creature randomly spawns and attacks you.
One drop ripples and grows.
And you couldn't have anticipated that. So it's also, of course, important to differentiate between a game that is easy and a game that is fair. And I think often people confuse the two. Let's see. So this one is keeping this one from being playable. Checkraptor has an article here, Darksiders Genesis review.
Momo's Bach is much cuter than his bike.
Not really holding up a lot of hope for Darksiders Genesis, but it would be nice if it's somewhat good. You don't want them to get worse in the Darksiders series, even though they kind of have. If anything, we want this to be great, and the symbol that the final actual game in the series will be possibly better. Yep, they gave it an 8.5. That's a rather high score. While Strife may end up playing second fiddle to War in his own debut game, Darksiders Genesis is a surprisingly fun and lengthy top-down co-op action game that both fans and newcomers should enjoy. Pros are fun top-down combat, great enemy variety, awesome battle fights, surprisingly lengthy story, I suppose is what that's supposed to be. Fantastic soundtrack. Cons, Strife is less fun to play with than War, as occasionally has terrible AI and many visual glitches. Now, I would also say that the Darksiders 3 did go back and adjust and fix and patch some things. So, it's not completely impossible that they would make the effort to go back and play the game some more. Okay, I can't do all of this, but I can attack. So attack with this here. I can attack with this here. And that's pretty much all I want to do. Yeah. And I did not need to make that white. I should have made that black. That was a mistake. And that may be the mistake that kills me. Because had this been black, this would have done 4 damage instead of 3. And killed that character. Alright, I think we've got it now. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 does 14. Victory. See, they had a decent strategy here. Like, that's not a bad... This was not a bad player that was playing poorly. It's just my strategy, when it works, on the 60%, 70% times that it works.
Diamonds are a shield mage's best friend.
Here we go. We have got a new planeswalker. And I guess you only need one planeswalker, although I guess you could have 4 in your collection. Some of them probably would be better off if they limited you to only having one planeswalker, and then you don't get any duplicates. Alright, let's do one more game, and if we run into any network trouble, we'll end there. We're gonna only have about 10 games that maybe I'll skip for Friday. TechRaptor has an article, Black Sad Under the Skin review. This looks like it's a anthropomorphic animal kind of point and click adventure game. I've seen it several times. It certainly has caught my eye, but I'm really not sure what it's supposed to be. It was like a noir detective story. TechRaptor gives it a 6.0, which is pretty low. Black Sad Under the Skin has a wonderful story, setting, and set of characters, and it clearly loves the source material. I just wish I loved my time, as I often found it wasted by pixel hunting, pointless choices, and tons of glitches, which that does kind of sound like a point-and-click adventure. Fantastic story and characters, loves the source material, great jazzy soundtrack. Cons are choices never matter, often lead to game overs. That's not a point-and-click adventure thing. Too much pixel hunting and tons of glitches. So, yeah. I wasn't really expecting anything from Black Sad, and really am not surprised that it's bad. Maybe there is an argument for loving the source material too much and not focusing enough on making the game good. TechRaptor has an article here, Half-Life Alyx leak hints at enemies, weapons, and gameplay. Which, okay. But you're still going to have to play. A lot of this is just internal code stuff. But, you know, tiny little hints, tiny little descriptors. Of course, here's a problem with programming. Like, you do a programming like this where you name a variable something like prop underscore Half-Life VR underscore weapon underscore shotgun underscore speed loader. It's just variables get super long when you start doing labeling like that. Of course, that is very descriptive and helpful when programming compared to just doing something more shorter, which would be like P underscore H underscore W underscore S underscore S, or just PHWSS, and then trying to memorize that as that's the value, or that's the thing that means this. And it kind of doesn't matter, because the compiler just takes all of that out eventually, in most cases anyways, and turns it back into memory address A1 versus memory address A2. Yeah, it seems like we're not going to connect, and I'm not going to bother to reload yet again. Still running into network troubles. We had a nice stream on Monday with no network troubles. TechRaptor has an article here. Fumble your way to 3 stars in dexterity. This is like a VR game where you're playing a game with a robotic claw grabber hand. Let's see. And apparently they didn't give it a review, but skimming this paragraph, it seems like they are not satisfied with this game, and it doesn't look very interesting either. It does feel like it's a VR experiment. Let's see. Jotun Valhalla Edition is free on the Epic Games Store December 5th. And let's see. The Steam itself is having trouble, so I could sit here and try and go through all these store pages, but I'm not sure it's really worth it. On the other hand, Friday will probably be a longer experience, so I probably should go through it. So here we have a game on Steam called Immunity, which looks like a top-down twin-stick shooter game where you play as like a white blood cell. $13.59 discounted English, and third-party EULA. That is a joke. It's way too expensive. See what else we can get to load. See, some of these, the images are just not loading, and it's not worth my time. Here we have a game on Steam called Dream Detective, which is some kind of puzzle game. It's a game for kids from 0 to 100 years old. I don't know if this is a find the Where's Waldo style game or what. Search, create, puzzles. This might be something at $7.19. I'll put it on the fall list. We'll see. But I am definitely left thinking it's a collection of mini games and Where's Waldo puzzles. But I don't really hate the idea of Where's Waldo puzzles, frankly. There probably should be more of them available. Here we have a game on Steam called Fear the Dark, which is a dark screenshot horror game. And as I'm not really seeing anything on the screenshots, I'm not interested in it. Early access $4.19, English, German, and Russian. Very possibly just a Russian asset flip or even a German asset flip game. Next we have a game on Steam here called Survival, which looks like it's maybe something. I've got a little bit of a difference here though. In the last 30 days it's rated very positively at 81%, and over its lifetime it's been 52% positive. So what happened here? I think English, Russian, German. Let's see. I love the game, but they haven't fixed it or done anything with the game that actually made it enjoyable. It's honestly trash and will be until they fix everything. Also, the screenshots you see in the store page are the dev screenshots, means they just pose models and screenshots with all the servers that are up and running around. Literally no one ever plays this game. So, is this a multiplayer only game? Yes, it is. Alright, so it's one of those survival game, multiplayer games that you can't ever recommend because the community clearly is very small, although they seem to have somehow found 72 people or more to play for the last 30 days and build a community there. Next we have VR Party Pack, which party games and basketball don't mean anything to me. I'm seeing a lot of arcade games, which also don't feel like party games. Ping pong, sure, party game. Bowling, not so much. Beer pong, sure, definitely a party game. Floating Rubik's cubes, no, not so much. So it's clearly this is a collection of just experiments on making games. It's $4.24, which is too cheap for VR again, and it's English full audio. I think you probably would find better versions of this. Okay, you're swinging around, slicing up the Rubik's cubes. You're not even solving the Rubik's cube. Yeah, I don't think there's anything there worth putting on the follow list. see. Next, we have a game here called To Gather Island, which looks like it might be a co-op Minecraft survival style game. I think if you're limiting yourself down to an island, you've already missed part of the selling point of Minecraft, in which it goes on forever and generates more and more. $14.99, no discount, English only, full audio. Yeah. I don't think there's enough polish here. I don't even know what you could do to compete with Minecraft these days. They just keep adding more and more to keep that game on top as far as features and content. If you are going to make something like Minecraft, it almost certainly has to be hyper realistic 3D games, and then by the time you have the graphics looking like that, most people will probably not even recognize it as a Minecraft clone. Next we have a game here called Cosmos Story, which just looks like a garbage game that's been ported from a cell phone. $3.99. Yeah, nothing there. And let's just leave it at that. Well, I did want to mention this one. Here we have Edna and Harvey, the Breakout Anniversary Edition. And that puts me in a weird position because I already own this. So like I would have to buy it again for $10 because of this loyalty bundle, because I already own the Breakout. And I didn't particularly super enjoy Edna and Harvey. I never really enjoy any of the Daedalic Entertainment games, and it is so obvious that Daedalic just puts out these games over and over again in different bundles and different versions, that I deserve, frankly, to get the anniversary version as a free upgrade. The only difference is going to be high resolution visuals, which, okay. Did they really change the animation much? Yeah, alright, they reanimated it. They probably shouldn't have spent the effort on that. Perhaps maybe they're going to adjust the graphics a little bit more and possibly reinterpret it in English. It's in widescreen now, but they're really not changing. They really can't change too much there, and it's the main story that was the problem as a point-and-click adventure. So I guess I put this on the follow list and then we'll think about it, but I certainly can't play a point-and-click adventure game a second time, and owning a game a second time, particularly putting my own money in it, doesn't make a lot of sense, and asking other people to support my channel by putting money into a game I won't play doesn't make sense. So probably should fall off the fall list immediately. Alright, what else? Let's then see if we can get the Humble Bundle to work and Twitter to work. See if there's any new Humble Bundles yet. Well, there's one that ends in 1 day and 21 hours, so 2 days from now. So maybe we'll get a new Humble Bundle because of that. But all the other Humble Bundles are at least 5 days out, so it would be at least a week. I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't anything. And let's scroll down my Twitter feed real quick and see if there's any new news. I suspect there really isn't. Peripheral maker Logitech pledges to be carbon neutral by 2030. Yeah, that's an easy pledge to make, certainly, because by 2030, I wouldn't imagine if every company is to is going to be forced to that. Here's an article. Due to secure ROM, Tron Evolution's Steam version won't launch for users. Interesting. Well, that's something they have to address. Because I think I own that game. I'll refund it and get the money back, I guess, if that's the case. Get store credit. A year of rain to change plans after poor early access sales. Well, that's really not the purpose of early access, I think, is to get enough sales to justify continuing and finishing your game. And that's, I guess, inherently the problem of early access, is that people are requiring a certain number of sales and trying to get a certain number of sales to fund the continued development of their game. Switch sales topped 830,000 over the Thanksgiving weekend. Thanksgiving week, best sales week in the US. Today is the last day to get the Bloody Harvest gear for Borderlands 3, so yep, not gonna get that. Oh, here's a game that came out on Steam, Hentai Redemption, which is like Red Dead Redemption, except for with an anime girl in a bikini. Talk about that on Friday. Just need to scroll down. Yeah, so far not really seeing anything. Yeah, I doubt there will be too much news that happens. The giant bombcast for this week was basically nothing whatsoever. No content or news to talk about. They were just doing an email show and a call-in things, combining their after show with their regular show. I'm seeing a lot of articles here that I may curate out as they are just kind of filler things as people are working on making their Game of the Year content. Gwent the Witcher card game console supports to end December 9th. Interesting. So Gwent the card game, at least for consoles, is dead. Space Channel 5 VR pushed back to 2020. Yeah, I hate that this is so much of the end of my episodes and my streams always end up this way. It's just sitting on a screen doing nothing. Network problems abound. Other issues abound. Minecraft Realms Plus upgrades. Minecraft Realms Plus upgrades Mojang's subscription service. Yeah. And that's like the last bit of news. So barely even anything to look at on Twitter. Well, that's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. That helps me with YouTube. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon. or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.